Good morning, garden friends. It's the end of January, and today we are going to be discussing crafting out your garden plan. Now, the goal is to be able to envision the vibrant tapestry of color and texture where you're going to strategically uh, plant your flowers in your garden. Now, uh, as gardeners, we strive to design to where it's pleasing to our eyes, but also nurturing to our souls. Now, I do believe before you lay out your garden plan, there are 5 garden steps to incorporate when you are designing your plan. First is to plan out your layout. Have an idea of where you want to start your garden at. And this is the thing. I am a visual person. And I always say what gets written gets done. What I like to do is lay out my design plan. Okay, so this is actually my secret garden. Now, the premise behind a secret garden is for it to have the feel of seclusion. My garden area at this point is full sun. I do have some areas that get morning sun, but this particular area for my secret garden, it is in full sun. But one of the things that I am doing to help create that secret garden feel is number one, making sure that in its current state, the plants can handle the full sun and still tie into my ultimate goal of making my secret garden into a very secluded, more of a part shade area to incorporate that feel that I want for my garden. One of the things that I do have is a arbor that has a climbing rose that is doing really well, if I must say, for my entrance. I have a Texas Vertex, a lilac tree that once it does end up getting to its full size will also add to that feel. When you're planning those things out, you got to take those things into consideration. This is a long haul process of me transforming that particular area into a secret garden. Now, the second thing that you want to consider is the soil type. Now, here in Georgia, I have the clay, and the clay tends to be very heavy. And while we have native plants here, I choose to amend my soil for the simple fact that just think when you are working in the clay soil, how compacted it is, how, when it's wet and it gets on your shoes, how heavy it ends up making your shoes as it builds up. Just think about how that is impacting the growth of your plants. Now, like I said, these are native plants to Georgia, but I just choose to amend the soil with adding, compost, manure, soil conditioner to allow more air circulation, to allow water to not build up like it does with the clay soil. So it's those types of things that you have to take into consideration because there are different types of soil depending upon your area. The other point that I want to mention in regards to laying out your design plan, I have mine written out and it's twofold. Number one, I pretty much have it laid out as far as where I have the plants located at, to where if they don't do well there, I know what's there. That becomes like a mental record for me of, okay, this can't be there. It's good to draw out your plan what plants you plan on putting there so that you can track how successful they are. Now, the third step that I want to talk about is making sure that you get the right plants. And a lot of that is tied to your zone. There are 13 zones, one being the coldest, zone 13 being the warmest. And when you have a good understanding of your zone, it allows you to make the right choices when it comes to plants and shrubs that you want to incorporate into your garden. Now, if you're like me, I tend to push the envelope and try out plants that may not, be for my zone, but it never hurts to try something new. The other thing to consider when it comes to plant choices is don't let pretty get you in trouble, because sometimes you may end up going and seeing a plant, and yes, it may say that it's for our zone. Yes, it may say it can handle full sun, but in reality, it's not. So you have to make sure that you are doing your homework in determining which plants that you want to add into your garden. And this is the thing too, in making sure you have the right plants, you also, as I stated, have to take into consideration your soil. Here we have clay. There is also sandy soil. It's light, it's dry, but it really doesn't have a lot of nutritional value. And just a couple of individuals that I end up following, that is like one of the things that they talk about, how they have to amend the soil. And depending upon where you live, because there are different types of soil, do your research, to make sure that what you are planting is conducive to your soil. If you end up having to amend it, test your soil. Have it tested. There are many tools out there that you can use to test the moisture, pH, the sun amount, the fertility of your soil, to make sure that what you are adding to it is not having a negative impact on what you are trying to accomplish. Depending on where you live at, tags will say full sun, 6+ hours. I can say for a matter of fact, not here in Georgia, for my current yard. My yard is full sun, but I end up planting flowers and shrubs that are able to handle the full sun, like roses and limelight hydrangeas with the proper watering, black-eyed Susies. Those end up being plants that tend to thrive when you have a lot of sun, can be drought tolerant to some extent. But those are the things that you really, really need to make sure that when you are choosing your plants, that you are choosing them with the mindset of what is my soil type, what is my zone. Now, the fourth thing is watering. You got two choices. You can either go with a drip system, or you can hand water, or you can do both. And that's what I do. I do both because I tend to prefer hand watering, because that allows me to be able to see how my garden is doing. If there's any weeds, go ahead and get them taken care of. If anything needs to be deadheaded, I'm doing it right there, because I do have a drip system in my secret garden that I got from Rain Point, and I'll put their link for their unit because I really like it. But what I do find is I don't tend to go up into my secret garden as often to stay on top of the weeding and also the deadheading. So those are some things that you need to take into consideration, is when you end up having the droughts because of no rain. I know What I do is early in the morning, I will water the areas that do not have the drip system. And then later on in the evening, depending on how intense the day ends up being. But you got to make sure that you end up having a schedule for your watering. And like I said, the rain point up in my secret garden, I have it on a timer for how long and how much water will dispense during that time frame to make sure that my plants are getting regularly watered. And the other good thing about that is it allows me to set it to where if it's going to rain, no use wasting water. If it's going to rain, to where I can skip days to where the system will not run. So watering is key, especially during the summer months, to make sure that your plants are thriving. The fifth item in planning is maintenance. You have to decide what and how much time you have to invest in maintenance, because maintenance consists of the weeding, the watering, the fertilizing, the thinning out, the mulching. All of those things are things that will allow your garden to be successful and flourish. But you have to have a maintenance schedule in order to accomplish that. Set a time to where you're going to be watering your plants. Drought time frame, I water twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. And then this is the other thing: no overhead watering. Keep that water down by the roots, because overhead watering, that can encourage fungus on your plants, powdery mildew, the things that end up negatively impacting your plants. So make sure that you are watering at the base of your plants. Maintenance is about the time that you have to invest. I have a pretty nice sized garden, and I have days scheduled out within the week and on the weekend of tasks that I am going to be doing to make sure I stick to my maintenance schedule. Put a schedule together. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are weeding days, because I do work a full-time job. And that's the other part of maintenance, is how much time do you have to invest in the maintenance when you are designing your garden? If you don't have the time to perform maintenance on a very large garden, scale it down. Do what you can manage. Don't worry about what Susie or Mary may end up having in their garden because you love it. If you can't maintain it, don't make that investment of time, because all it's going to do is have money go down the drain because you're not able to stay on top of it. And this is the thing. When it comes to gardening, like I said, it's an investment, not only of money but also of your time. And gardening is such a wonderful release to enrich your life when you engage in gardening. But do what you are capable of doing, of being able to maintain, so that you can enjoy the labor of your hard work. I just wanted to be able to share with you guys what I have found that has allowed my garden to flourish and be successful. All right, so I hope you found these 5 steps in planning out your garden to be useful. Like I said, design and layout plan, your soil preparation, making sure you have the right plants, watering your plants on a regular schedule, and finally, the maintenance. I truly believe that those combinations
will allow you, whether you are a newbie at gardening, and I'm quite sure those of us that have been gardening for a while find that by applying those 5 steps are things that have allowed us to be successful. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner. And I hope you have a fantastic day. And if you enjoyed my content, please consider subscribing. I look forward to you following me on my garden journey.